Namaste, friends. Nice to be with all of you here. Today, I'm going to speak on the topic of why is it important to welcome change in our lives. Actually, every moment of our lives, if you ponder over it, the past has already slipped by. The present is waiting to escape from our lives. Just one more moment. And the future is all set to make a forceful entry in our lives. And what can we do about it? All three factors of our life are beyond change. And that's why, actually, if we can handle every single moment properly, we can bring about great benefit to us. So I'm calling this moment the potent moment. Every moment is so potent. I'll show you something on the screen. This is a very unique photo that you're seeing. Allow me to take you to a small country called Honduras in America. Around 1996, they decided to build a very nice bridge across the river Choluteca. They hired a very hi-fi Japanese firm. It took 2 years and a hell lot of money to build this bridge. Something happened after this bridge was built. There was a hurricane Mitch. So 75 inches of rain that would usually fall in 6 months fell in just a matter of 6 days in this small country. As you would guess, 7,000 people died. Lot of things happened. And after the aftermath, when they looked at the scene, they saw that the river had completely changed its course. And on the screen you see, this bridge is basically standing in the middle of nowhere and it's of no use. So after spending so much money, so much planning, so much energy, today this bridge is called the bridge to nowhere. Isn't this also the story of our lives, my friends? We do so much planning, we put so much energy, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time. And after we do all things, the river of life changes its course. And suddenly we are faced with a big, nice, very thoughtful plan, but that plan is of no use. Don't we also come to a mental dead end in our life sometimes? Some days back, I was on the beach and I saw some kids. They had sand with them and they wanted to give different shapes to the sand. So obviously they needed some water. So these kids were playing close to the waves. And as different waves would come in, they would take some water from the waves, mix it in the sand and make different shapes. Suddenly what happened is, after the due time, there was time for high tide. And the same waves that were very welcome to these kids because the waves supplied water and that water was necessary to shape the sand, which was what they wanted. The same ocean, at one point of time, when it came in the shape of a high tide, it was a challenge. They had to drop off everything. And in one sense, the same water that was always helpful to them had turned out to be distressful to them. What they did is they just took their instruments with them and ran off to another place. All of us also have received some sand in our lives. This is the sand of our skills. This is the sand of our attitudes. And the huge ocean of time keeps sending waves of opportunities in our life. And what we do is, we take some opportunities and we use the sand of our skills and our attitudes to make different things which we feel we want to contribute to this world. And the same ocean of time sometimes sends a huge, overwhelming opportunity. And that is what we call as an overwhelming challenge in our life. So when the high tide of challenge comes in our life, most of us also need to just get up with our instruments, whatever we have, and shift to another place. So all of us have gone through this situation in a bigger or a smaller extent. The books that I read usually in my life are the Vedic texts, and one of them prominent is the Bhagavad Gita. So according to the Bhagavad Gita, God is the creator of this world. But taking help of this example, I would also like to postulate a second sentence. Yes, God is the creator of this world, but all of us are co-creators of our own small worlds. We get opportunities, we get our skills, our attitudes to make what we can do. But yes, there will be high tides of challenges and we should know how to deal with it. How many of you in your life would like your friendships to be permanent? Some of you, yes. How many of you would like your relationships to be permanent? How many of you like your health to be very good permanently? And how many of you feel this is going to be really very easy? So it's very interesting. All of us, in one sense, have accepted the impermanence of everything in our life, but there's a constant need for experiencing permanence in our lives. So why is it? Actually, according to the Bhagavad Gita, all of us are tiny sparks. We are spirit sparks. And right now, we are in a world which is characterized by impermanence. So we are permanent sparks, but right now in an impermanent world. And that is where the friction arises. That is where all the trouble starts. I usually, travel a lot for sharing whatever little I know from the Gita. So you could call me a constant traveler. And I would just share my experience with you. Whenever I'm in transit, I actually miss my usual place where I lie down at night, my bed. I miss it. I have a chair where I stay in the temple on which I'll sit comfortably and I study. I miss that chair when I'm studying. I miss my food, which is regularly being served in the temple, but whenever I'm traveling, I don't get that food. How many of you experience that when you travel outside your home or your regular place of stay, life is not very easy? Yes? So, if we just remember this example, transit usually means inconvenience. So, according to the wisdom texts of India, all of us are basically in transit. Life is itself a journey from the previous destination to the next destination. If we start looking at our lives as a transit journey, the inconveniences that come in our life will not be able to distract us if we focus on the destination and if we focus that at least I'm getting an opportunity to travel a lot, to share a lot, then the inconveniences go back in the background, is it not? So, there is a very beautiful text in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna starts speaking in the second chapter, shloka number 11, and this is shloka number 14. So this is basically the fourth sentence that Krishna speaks in the Gita. And he is saying that in our lives, the weather keeps on changing. Sometimes it is hot season, sometimes it is cold season. And so Krishna here is mentioning in our life similarly, happiness and distress will come on its own due course, and all we can do is just tolerate it. Right now the season is changing, it's becoming hot. What can we do? We can just go through it and do whatever is needful. Similarly in our lives also, sometimes distress, kabhi khushi, mostly gum. But all we can do is, just go ahead, right? This factor of change that comes in our life, can it be a catalyst for growth? Let's discuss a little bit about this. Actually, on this path of spirituality, you don't have much company. And I've spent so many occasions in my life where I was all alone and I was thinking, how do I go about it? How to face life in this situation? But I can honestly share with you, those were the times when I got a lot of time to spend with myself. Actually, when solitude becomes your friend, then self-growth becomes your next best friend. Actually, most of us, we lead such busy lives that we try working on people outside of us. We try working on situations outside of us, and we do not seem to find any time working on the situation inside us. We can't change the world around us, but we can change our response to what is happening in the world, but we rarely get time to do that. So when I was all alone in the journey, I think I got a lot of time to spend on myself. I'll help you understand this. One of my friends is in the exhibition business, and he helps set up exhibition stalls for advertising different products. He gave me a very nice understanding. He said that, next slide please. He said that, in an exhibition stall, if the exhibition stall is still, then people keep moving. And if the exhibition stall has something moving, then people keep still. I'll just explain what it means. It means if you just have a lifeless display of products, then people are not interested, people keep moving. But if you have some animations, if you have some videos in your exhibition stall, then people come, they want to watch it, they remain still. So from this example, I'm proposing that we also are in a situation where everything around us keeps changing. And what could we do? If everything keeps around us keeps changing, we can remain still. What usually happens is when things change, people change, situations change, it has an impact on us and we lose our cool. We also change with that. I'll share one story. I had a program in Jammu and I was on a flight to Jammu. We had a changeover at Delhi. My flight tried to land at Delhi airport twice, but because of strong winds, finally on the third attempt, the flight was diverted to Lucknow. By the time we landed back at Delhi, it was around 8:30 in the night, and my connecting flight to Jammu had already gone by. So now we had around 300 people from Bombay on our way to Jammu, but we were all stranded at Delhi airport. Now, much to my amusement, there was one very well-dressed person on my flight, and for some reason, he decided to give a full blast to the airline staff. I saw him change in a moment. He just could not handle the situation that now he has nowhere to stay in Delhi. So basically, he was putting a lot of pressure on the airline staff that this is all your fault and we missed our Jammu flight and you need to put up us in a hotel and all. And the airline staff very courteously was saying, sir, actually it was because of the high winds and it was not our fault. But I saw his temper rising, his voice volume rising, and in my eyes, his image falling. I could just see how, even though he was well dressed, he was well educated, but he just could not control his own outburst. And he basically changed because the situation around him changed. If we decide to ponder on the ever-changing situation around us, I think it's an impossible task because we cannot control anything beyond us. But if we choose to ponder, if we choose to focus on changing ourselves, stabilizing ourselves, working on ourselves, I think that is what will help us in the long run. So my dear friends, now we understand why life is designed like this, that all of us experience impermanence in our lives, but all of us want permanence in our lives. Why is life designed like this? Life is designed like this so that we always get time to work on ourselves and we actually end up with thoughts about how to improve ourselves and how to adapt to the situation instead of rejecting the situation. Around 2000, when I passed out of my engineering, I joined a multinational IT company. In those days, we had fabulous salaries, and I still remember how people around me every month would find opportunities to have parties and then put it on the email because those were not the days when we were at social media. But it was all about mentioning to people, I went to this restaurant, I purchased these branded clothes and all. Around this time, I also used to visit a temple, and this temple had a monastery. And in that monastery, there were simple monks. And none of these monks, even today, have a bank account of their own. So I was going through a situation where on one side in my company, I saw people earning fabulous amounts of money, but they would always be stressed out. The stock market, if it went up and down, their heartbeats would go up and down. And in the monastery where I visited, where they did not have any money, they always had time to answer my questions. When I used to go, I had so many questions about life, and they would just sit patiently and answer my questions. Sometimes I would go at the wrong hours, and they would be having their food, and they would just gladly open their hearts and welcome me with their food, and I had so much food with them. I realized that on one side, there are people who are seemingly in control of their lives with the help of their money, their position, but I saw they were not. And on another side, I saw people who had nothing of their own in one sense, but they had so much satisfaction. They had so much strength, inner strength. So at that point of time, I decided to go for a big change. I welcomed a big change in my life and I made a shift to a monastery. And after that big change, finally, I'm not changing my clothes any longer. Every day I wear the same colored clothes. So after that big change, now there are no more changes in my life. So I think the ability to accept change in our lives is a very important one, especially in today's times when technology is changing every 6 months. If we do not work on ourselves, it will have a disastrous effect on us trying to always adjust, trying to always compare, trying to always compete, trying to always, come to the wrong terms of understanding of this world. But if we stabilize ourselves in this ever-changing world and we welcome change, but in such a way that we don't react to it, we respond to it with a cool mind and with a cool understanding, I think that will help us a lot. Thank you so much.